We start with the session, and this is on Pradhan Mantri Dhan Yoajana. This is towards, as we know, towards financial inclusion, extending financial security to people, having each and every citizen of the country having a bank account. And as Prime Minister Modi had put it, this is towards removing that financial untouchability. Till now, we have some 8.83 crore under this Yoajana. Banks have registered 8.83 crore new account holders, 5.85 crore RuPay cards have been extended, but challenges are there. Of course, one of the major challenge which has been faced by the beneficiaries is the ATM access shortage, and the cap on transaction risk scheme is another challenge. So here, from now, we are going to be looking, as we said, more into these practical solutions, talking more about ground reality. Everything is still now on the paper kind, everything is looking good, but we talk now about implementations, how to bring about. So I would like to invite our speaker here, CA Ved Jain. He's a former president of ICAI, and immediately after his tenure as the president of ICAI, he was assigned the job of reviving and managing the two associate companies of Satyam. He was appointed government nominee director on the board of Metis Infra Limited, which is now, as we all know, is ILNFS Engineering and Construction Limited, and on Metis Properties Limited. He successfully managed these companies and he revived the same. He is regularly involved in the consultation process of the Ministry of Finance and with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. He is member of various expert committees, panel, constituted by the Government of India for fiscal and for commercial legislations. Has more than 3 decades of experience on advising corporates on finance and taxation matters, and his forte is on direct taxes, indirect taxes. So would like to invite CA Ved Jain for his talk on Dhan Yoajana.
Thanks for the introduction and the compliments. Good afternoon, gentlemen. The morning we were just listening to the ideas and what need to be done by the country as a whole and the expectation from this government. I believe the time has come we need to deliver. One of the issues raised by the earlier speaker, Mr. Jha, was what we have done in the 67 years. And he raised the issue that tell me any 5 things which India has done in the 67 years. Some people did answer metro and other issues. I believe the greatest thing India did, whether you may take it positively or negatively, we produced 125 crore population. Some people believe it's a curse, but population may be curse, but you can harness, you can take advantage. The dominance of India, nobody can forget about it. And if you look at this, the purchasing power that India has, nobody can match it. I will give you a few examples. India started import of the color TV somewhere in the 1982 when Asiads were going to happen. Asiad Games, Delhi Asiad. And when India allowed the import of the color TV, not a single color TV set was available off the shelf right from Tokyo to London. Everything was imported in India. That is a big market. That's a big population advantage we were having. Sometimes people do ask a question that whether one will like to take the risk of investing in India. I pose a counter question. Whether one can afford to take the risk of not investing in India. With such a big market, such a big population, our purchasing power is such a big, if one does not invest in India, he is taking a big risk. Tomorrow we are going to be the biggest country. That's the area we're in. And this Prime Minister's plan of this what we call Dhan Yoajana is a right step in that direction. We talked about education, we talked about industry, we talked about making India dream like this, happening this. We need to talk about the common man. The first man, the remotest person, living man, we need to think about that. We may talk big, all schemes are good, health, education, etc. But the person, unless he has some money in his hand to eat, to meet his day-to-day challenges, is not going to serve the purpose. It is only then one can think beyond that. And this Jan Dhan Yojana, if you look at the scheme, the way it is being called as a financial inclusion, but it has all the features what a citizen should have. Now, this scheme envisages that all Indians about 10 years of age are going to have a bank account. It proposes. That's a scheme which says it. It's a zero bank balance. That's the attraction which is being given. Now, take a case, people do not have the money. People do not have access to the banking. Why they would like to come to the bank? There has to be inbuilt added attraction. And added attraction can be in the form that you will get certain advantage if you come into this banking system. And when we giving an attraction, and what we call social agenda, economics, business, commerce, always runs on two things: what you give and what you take. Now, as a social agenda, you want to attract people that come to this banking. We want that you should join this banking. You need to give incentive. You need to motivate this. I will just give you an example. Some of you may have traveled into tribal areas. There are certain areas in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, still there are people who are tribal, they live in tribals, and they do not come out of their houses or to villages. Even when they are having disease, even when they are ill, when they don't have their needs. And the doctors who are working in that area are finding it difficult to reach out to those tribals because those tribals are afraid of coming out. And how these doctors work? They sit, there is a Mangal Haat, sometime when the shop, for weekly shop for buying some day-to-day needs, they go and sit by that shop. When tribal come to buy that churi, chawal, etc., that buy, they get hold of that tribal and they treat him. A motivation created. Now this Jan Dhan Yojana, the add-on feature given therein is basically to attract the people. Yes, you come in and join this scheme. And when we look at this inclusion which we are asking for, what is being proposed and given is, one, that you open a bank account. Now when you open a bank account, you are being introduced to the banking. And when you are getting introduced to the banking, you are bringing with zero balance, but I say you keep the zero balance, you open a bank account, this is an attraction I am giving to you. In turn you get an accident insurance of 1 lakh rupees. You get an insurance of life insurance of 30,000 rupees. Now everybody sitting any home, anywhere in the remotest place, he will like to come and join. He say, yes, tomorrow something goes wrong, I will get 1 lakh rupees. Some other thing happen, 30,000 rupees I get it. Now in this process, the country, the government has served two purposes. Introduce the banking to the furthest place, to the remotest person, and in that process, it has fulfilled its commitment of what we call a social security. When 1 lakh rupees of accident insurance and 30,000 of life insurance is being provided to the person concerned, I believe it is a social security being extended to the last person. Having these are the two initial drivers, and when this thing happens, something beyond is bound to happen. As I said, it has to be give and take. And what is the give and take coming out of it? When you got introduced to the banking, you know their bank, obviously over a period, money will flow in. You will not keep the money under your mattress or under your pillow. I believe there may be rich people who can't sleep without having the money below their pillow. But there are poor people who just keep the money below their pillow because that money they feel is more safe as compared to keeping money somewhere else. Now that money has to walk into the system. If that money walks into the system, obviously the figures were being ones, I just checked up, the figures have reached more than 9.5 crores. On 16th December, this is the information, the 9.6 crore account, out of which 6.7 crore account continues to be with the zero balance. The deposits in those bank accounts have reached more than 7,700 crore rupees. Now just imagine, people do think about it that it is a very costly scheme what the banks are doing with the 6 crore account which is zero balance. If I look at a commercial angle or economic angle only, simple, 7,700 crore rupees at 4% interest coming to the bank, and if I am able to lend it at a 10%, 500 crore rupees a year I am making out of the system. I look at purely business. And that's why when I was coming to here, I was thinking, who is ultimately gainer? Who will be the ultimate gainer? Not banks. Business idea sold by the Prime Minister. He deserves the copyright on this, a fee for consultancy. When this, and I being a tax person, if these are between two private persons, definitely the income tax people will say that when this idea is being sold to this by the Prime Minister to this bank, he should have charged the fees and bank should have paid the money at an arm's length price. That's the idea. Exactly in Jan Dhan Yoajana. So those people who think that this scheme is somewhere is a gimmick only, it is there, it is not a gimmick. Just imagine India has around 600,000, 6 lakh cities, villages, towns where population is more than 1,000. Our penetration of banking is too poor there. Only 30% of these areas are being serviced by the banks. And just imagine when these bank accounts are going to be there, and when money is likely to follow in these bank accounts, there is no reason why the money will not follow in these bank accounts. Because there is another catch which lies in that you need to keep the account activated by a transaction within 45 days. After a period of 6 months, if you keep the account active, you have become eligible for a 5,000 rupees overdraft. Now, if that be the case, now these bank accounts are going to become active. And if these bank accounts are going to become active, it is going to become a very big business proposal for the banks. And in case, now, which is definitely bound to happen, just imagine, now these are the 9.5 crore accounts today. I believe the way the speed is going up, by 15th August 2015, we will cross not more if 15 crore accounts. If 15 crore accounts are there, and I just keep this calculation 2-to-1 ratio, 5 crore accounts are active account where the money is there, and 10 crore accounts are there where money is not there. Just visualize this scenario only. And in 5 crore account, if I have a balance of say 5,000 rupees average balance in the account, how much is the money which I am getting? 25,000 crore rupees is the money which will come into the system. And 25 crore is what we look at is the idle money lying in the houses is coming into the system, which will generate investment, and all this money will be available for India's economic growth. It's a cycle which we are going to put in place. And a person who has tested the money of banking, who tested the banking, will always be following the system. Because as on today, he is absolutely not aware what his banking is. He has not been introduced, he introduced it. He doesn't know the taste of the banking. And this is a scheme which gives a win-win situation, to everyone, person who is opening the account, the banks and the government and the society as a large. Now, the implication of this scheme, some people talks about of it. I just read some of the few articles that there is a scheme that 5,000 rupees will be the overdraft, and since people were thinking that only account will be 7.5 crore, which have been now increased to 15 crore, So that 75,000 crore rupee loan mela will be there, and this money will go down the drain. There is a thought process going on this process. I have two answers to that. One is, do we don't have a confidence in our population, in public, or in our citizens? We believe all 15 crore people who will take this money with 5,000 rupees, they will run away. Do we believe that the money which is being lent by by banks is not going to be used for productive purposes? Don't we look into the other aspect of the scheme? These bank accounts are going to be linked with the subsidy, which is a cash subsidy which is being there. All these accounts are going to become active because the government has now taken a decision that whatever the subsidy is to be given, it is not going to be subsidized the food or the product. It will be a cash subsidy coming in this account, in these accounts. Even if the money 5,000 rupees in overdraft given in that account, the subsidy flowing to this person will be credited in this account only. So these accounts are going to be operational accounts. These are not going to be dead accounts. Just look at the way it is there. And visualize a situation of Indian economy. Down the line, after 3 years or after 5 years, if we say that today we have only 30 crore, 300 million people who are using banking, and after 3 years we say there are 600 million people who are doing banking, what will be the economic power of India? What will be the economic revolution coming out of this Jan Dhan Yojana? It will be mind-boggling figures on these issues. And sometime back, if you just, because I think how much time I have to? I need to, even 20 minutes you have allocated to me. I would just like to give you one example. And this is a real-time example, I will say. I'm a chartered accountant. I started my career way back in 1976. In somewhere in early 80s, Punjab National Bank used to allot us branches for inspection. In one of the bank branch, I was sitting there, and it was a small remote village branch. And I asked the branch manager that you are the real finance minister of this village. He says, sir, aap mera mazak uda rahe hain. I'm a poor guy here sitting as a small branch manager with 2 persons, 1 peon and 1 just clerk with me. I said, no, you are the real finance minister. And if we correlate that example with today's Jan Dhan Yojana, the bank manager is the real finance minister of his village. What the finance minister does is at the end of the year, when he stand up in the February, he collects data from the how much is the income of the government resources from various places and where to be utilized. He does a balancing exercise. I said the bank manager has to do exactly the same exercise. He knows that my branch is situated in a village which has a population of say 2,500 persons. He knows out of these 2,500 people, these 300, 400 people are doing good business. They have some agriculture, some has put some other vocation they are engaged in. Some is having some surplus, and he knows how much deposit he can mobilize from these persons. At the same time, he knows that there are few people who are educated, who can get some employment, self-employment. He is a person who can advance money. You can put a photostat machine, you can put an atta chakki machine, you can put this other machine for doing this agriculture, some processing, etc. He can advance the money. Now, with the banking reaching to each and every village, which by this Jan Dhan Yojana, it will definitely reach to. As I said, out of the 600,000, only we have a 30% penetration on this issue. Now, if this banking reaching to each and every village, the bank manager will truly get converted into the finance minister of that village. And if he gets converted into the finance minister of that village, definitely he need to apply mind to the needs of that village. And it is person who have surplus to take those surplus, and the person who need the money to allow that money to use this money. This is the scheme which is, I look into the Jan Dhan Yojana. And success of this scheme can be gauged from other factors also. You would have heard the name of this Mannapuram, Mathut Finance, etc., etc., what we call microfinancing, they so called it. And some of must you have read the newspaper report which appeared in Times of India some 2 days back about gold. Do you know how much gold is with these people? 195 ton with 3 companies only. And 195 tons in, I just tried to calculate it, 50,000 crore rupees value in, for applying to 25,000 rupees per 10 gram rate, if I consider it. Meaning thereby, these company in few states of southern India, because the main penetration is southern India, I believe these are penetration is, they have been able to lend money, if I believe security is 1 to 2, 25,000 crore rupees against a security of 50,000 crore rupees of a gold at an interest rate which is not less than 24% per annum. Why that poor man should suffer? Because banking is not available, bank does not recognize him, or he does not understand banking. This Jan Dhan Yojana is going to provide him ki, yes, it is a scheme meant for him. He can also borrow the money at a normal rate which is available to this. Because as I understand, the rate which is being proposed is the 12% rate which is being proposed. 4% they are going to get on the fixed deposit, they are keeping it, and 2% over the PLR rate, prime level, whatever has been worked out, and which will be 12%, lower of that, whatever has been kept it out. Now that poor man, if we believe it, now if that opportunity comes, I believe the person who borrows money against gold primarily is a money person in distress. He puts his whatever is the saving, etc., and goes to the people and says, give me the money, I need the money. But when the money is available at a rate of 12% per annum, I believe it will encourage people entrepreneurship also. Out of these 15 crore accounts which are likely to open in a year, if we assume a simple ratio of say 10% people getting educated on banking and getting encouraged, 5,000 rupees is only without any security. But there is no end in case you are able to put a good scheme to the bank and say, yes, I want to do this, something this. You can get this money at 12% or 13% or 14%. And if that happens, then what will be the economic potential and exponential growth we will be going to have? This scheme is going to do it. That's why I am of this view that this Jan Dhan Yojana of the Prime Minister which has been there should be looked at from a larger perspective, very large, broader perspective. It serves the purpose of the country in a manner in reaching out to the last person, creating identity of that person, creating awareness among that person, allowing him to access to the best system, because this scheme takes into account bank, where you can do banking, remittance, you can send money and bring money from that where somebody money has to come and go out, and you are being introduced to what we call is a credit card, debit card. Why not a poor man? Why not a remotest person should have an access to the debit card and credit card? That's a scheme which is being given, money being available. And there is a thought process which has gone into, which I believe the way this debit card has been created into is, because you may need the money at the odd hour. And then again you need to knock at the sahukar or lender at the rate. And ATM is a person which works 24/7. So that's why keeping the person's problem, that the gentleman may do not have a confidence in the system. People may say, no, on Sunday you will not be able to get the money, at 9 o'clock you will not be able to get the money. The best is still a sahukar. This scheme says your money is available 24/7. You have a PIN, you have a RuPay card, go there, keep some money, and you can take the money out of it. I believe this is the one. And all idle money lying below mattresses, below carpets, or whatever, etc., probably will flow in this system, and that will bring this system. And on the last, another point aspect is, I take it in a different shape now also. Suppose this banking scheme, the way it is being propagated, and 5,000 rupees is given to these 15 crore people, and 75,000 crore rupees is used by these people, and not returned. Where do we stand? Indian banking system is much stronger, and this 75,000 crore, the way it is being lent is not going to create a problem for the banking system. As on today itself, more than 2 lakh crore rupees is likely to be the NPA in power sector alone. When an industrialist, an individual, can get a write-off of from the bank law of 50 crore or 100 crore or 200 crore rupees in one go, the masses which make this country great, they have also right to share a system out of it. And the subsidy bill of the government of India, which was 150,000 crore rupees in the year 2012-13, and 13-14 it was more than 2 lakh crore. For that 75,000 crore rupees over a period of years is not going to be a big challenge for that permanently. In that direction, I believe, among all measures taken by the present government, this measure is going to be the biggest measure which will bring, I believe, parity among the people, which will bring growth to the country, and I am reasonably sure that this scheme itself, I am looking entirely from a commercial perspective, this scheme itself is going to add at least, if not more, 1% of the GDP growth to the nation by bringing saving to the system, which will ultimately be used for the economic growth. With this, friend, looking to the time constraint, I'm just trying to summarize it. My thanks for inviting me, and I wish all the best to the platform. Thank you, friend.
Thank you, sir. May I request you to kindly join us here, as we've expressed thanks to you also. Sir, any challenge which you see towards it? I mean, you've highlighted that it's a very good scheme, but any challenge which...
I see, that's why I say the challenge to the scheme, as I read from the newspaper and the other social interaction, that information is, one was this 5,000 rupees overdraft and the cost of carrying the zero balance account. I believe these are the two challenges which are being posed. There are no challenges today. As I said, 75,000 crore rupees is not a big money for a country like India as of today. And the figure which I incidentally mentioned in between, when I say that the deposit of around what I am looking forward to is, even if I believe 5 crore rupee accounts are going to be activated, and with 5,000 rupees balance, so 25,000 crore, the money which is flowing into the system. And I am looking to this microfinancing the way it is happening. Why not that money will flow into this system? I am reasonably confident that the challenges which are going to come in will get neutralized more than that. And as on date, if we look at the data, these bank accounts are more being opened in the public sector banks. Private banks are little shy and not coming forward. But when the fruits will start coming, and they were pretty willing, I'm reasonably sure that the private banks will also have to play a very active part. If you look at this home loan scheme of the ICICI Bank or other bank, now all these schemes were originally started by the public sector banks only. But when they later on found out that yes, it is a big money coming out of this, then all now this housing loan or home loan scheme has been predominantly being run by the private banks. So the challenge in the scheme, I don't see any other challenge in the scheme, because it does not affect anybody. If you open the account, there is no liability. There are two costs incurred. One is cost of carrying the zero balance account and the overdraft of rupees 5,000. Insurance cost and other costs are factored into in such a manner. The cost is 0.47, 47 paisa is the cost which is coming it out. And this cost is likely to be recovered from the ATM charges which are being structured in the manner where it will be a 0-0 position, that whatever you collect and whatever you paid out it out. And it is going to be, as a social security measure, it's going to be a biggest bonanza for the country. What we today have been saying that there is no social security for a common person, I believe once this scheme is on the way it has been done and people start following the pattern what is being suggested therein, a social security of 30,000 plus 1 lakh rupees, it should be a reasonably good security which will help it out. So I don't see any challenges coming out in this scheme. But as I said, the population 125 crore rupees, there will be minor hiccups here or there, because few challenges as we see that are duplicate bank accounts and some over-exaggeration of the figure, etc. This is bound to happen in a country like this in India. We need not get bogged down by these types of figures, because over a period, the biggest benefit will be that whole population of the country will get identified. If India can take a pride that at least 70 to 80% of my population is having a bank account, then identification issue will get lost. There is nothing to worry about the banking. And this will bring, of course, one issue about the education. When you had got introduced the system of banking, this is the first step to the education. This is I believe when you go to the bank, you deposit money, you withdraw money, this itself is an education. Education is not going to the structured school learning. This is also an education, because then you get to know finances. You will also get interested. I deposited 400 rupees. I should get 16 rupees in interest in a year. So that 16 rupees calculation should be more than sufficient to make a person educated. Yes, I am looking to this education. And the moment you look to 16 rupees, you will try to save 500, not 400 rupees. And that's 4 rupees extra. Energy will bring it. And when energy comes with 5,000 rupees I have taken, I may use it for some purposes. Then he said, no, today some application form is there, some allotment is going to happen. I don't have the money, I will go to the bank. I say, you give me the loan, 10,000 rupees, I will pay you the interest. That is an education, which I believe this scheme will be.
Thank you, Mr. Jain. And may I request Mr. Batra to kindly present the memento, thanking him. So well-conceived theme, and as he said, on a broader frame, also extending education to people, social security, financial security, extending to it.